Do you ever wonder what your blood sugar is right after you eat? Do you think seeing it in real time on your phone would help? Earlier this year, my husband and I tried out continuous glucose monitors, also known as CGMs. And what we found out about his healthy breakfast shocked him, but not me. Stick around because I'm going to teach you all about a common hormone problem lots of people may have years before a medical diagnosis, like prediabetes or type 2 diabetes shows up, and CGMs can help. I'll also share the one cheap lab test you can request today to catch this generally ignored hormone and reverse your blood sugar levels rising by being proactive. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Amanda, a naturopathic physician with over 10 years of clinical experience on a mission to help Christians take better care of the bodies God gave us so we can all live full, energized lives and share His love with others. Today, I'm going to teach you all about how my husband and I monitored our body's responses to some of the typical foods we ate and how you can also be more strategic and make meaningful shifts to level up your health. Now, let's get into our topic. My husband and I both have immediate family members with type 2 diabetes, and we've personally dealt with prediabetes to some degree. So instead of waiting around for things to head in the wrong direction, we decided to be proactive. Both of us ordered continuous glucose monitors and applied the sensors together on one Sunday after church. Then we connected them to the apps on our phones. Here's how it works. A CGM measures glucose in the fluid just underneath your skin, not directly in your blood. So there's a small delay of about 3 to 5 minutes compared to a finger prick test. But once the device syncs, you get a constant stream of information that tracks reasonably well with your blood sugar. So of course, as the preventative health queen, aiming to minimally reach 100 years old, I was excited. I could finally watch my body respond to the foods I ate instead of assuming it was responding well and then eventually ending up with type 2 diabetes, as so many others do. While wearing the device, I started noticing my numbers were rising quickly and sometimes too high, particularly after eating rice or bread. Sometimes it spiked crazy high simply because I ate too much. I decided to try drinking diluted apple cider vinegar before similar meals and noticed a difference. Drinking adequate water and adding healthy fats with carbs also prevented me from experiencing very high sugar spikes. There were differences when I walked after dinner versus when I sat on the couch cuddling up with my husband or my pup. I also noticed my response patterns changed based on how much sleep I got, how stressed out I was at work, and when I did my weekly intermittent fasting. My most favorite moment during this whole CGM family experience belonged to my husband. So I told him for a while that his usual bowl of oatmeal, which was sweetened and usually topped with a banana, probably wasn't the best breakfast for people like us. But he didn't listen. And I was like on the side looking at him and his oats kind of like this. The thing is that oatmeal is often assumed to be a healthy food, and it can be when you cook oats by themselves in some water. However, pairing the carb-rich oats with extra sugar and very sweet fruits like ripe bananas, this can send blood sugars up really fast, regardless of the beneficial fiber. And then it can take a long time for your blood sugar to come back down to normal. So my hubs learned from wearing a CGM that when he added protein and skipped the added sugar, his numbers were much better. By seeing his own graph spikes on his phone and learning the food associations, this was far more convincing than anything I could have said. And I didn't have to be a nagging wife because that's usually not helpful. Now, let's talk about why this matters for so many people. If you're wearing a CGM and you notice that your blood sugar reset a couple of hours after eating is delayed, laggy, or inconsistent, it might be due to insulin resistance. Let's say this together. Insulin resistance. Great job. You earn a gold star. Now, I'm going to break down what insulin resistance means so everyone understands. Insulin is a hormone made by your pancreas, and its job is to act like a key. It unlocks your cells so sugar from the food you eat can get inside of the cells and be used for energy. This energy can be used so we can dance around and do our work, and it can be used for our brains to work properly, as well as our bodies to produce hormones and do all the other wonderful things that are necessary for us to function optimally. During insulin resistance though, the locks are rusty, so the key doesn't turn as easily anymore. Your pancreas compensates by making more and more insulin. Making extra keys to force all the doors of the cells open. These keys require extra effort, a little extra jiggle to allow the sugar to enter the cells. This can work for a while, so your blood sugars can look normal for years while your pancreas, low-key, is working overtime. But eventually it can't keep up, and that's when blood sugar starts creeping up. First into prediabetes territory, and then onward into type 2 diabetes. These conditions are also associated with elevated cholesterol, blood pressure, and increased cardiovascular risk. So as the blood sugar goes up because you ate some ice cream, the lining inside of your blood vessels gets damaged due to inflammation. So another way of thinking about insulin resistance is when we're at the pearly gates of heaven, waiting to get in. But for some of y'all, Jesus is gonna say, I don't know you. So in this case, Jesus is the insulin, we're the sugar, and heaven is the cell. Apparently, it would take a lot of Jesus to get some of y'all in. So make sure you don't experience Jesus resistance, because that would be messed up. But here's the empowering part. We can get our souls right, and we can get our blood sugar levels right, especially early on. Now, with improving blood sugar, drinking enough water, walking after meals, decreasing refined carbs and sugar consumption, improving your sleep, and reducing stress, along with some modest movement towards healthy weight, can be very meaningful. And this can help your cells respond better to insulin. If your blood sugar levels are running a little higher, just know your body isn't broken. But much of the food in the US predisposes our bodies to this cycle, so they often have to work harder than they should. You can lighten that load with awareness and better nutrition strategies. If you'd like me to share more about my personal eating strategies in future videos, let me know down below. Once we reach 100 likes and/or comments about this topic, I'm gonna start a series. It's gonna be so good. Now, one of the best kept secrets in preventative lab testing is fasting insulin. I order these for patients as well as other naturopathic docs and functional medicine docs, but you may not have this ordered if you go to a general practitioner. Most people only get fasting glucose checked, but this number can stay normal long after insulin resistance has already started because the pancreas is compensating. Ask your healthcare provider to order a fasting insulin lab test for you. Ideally, you want the number under 8. If it's over 10, you got some work to do. Now, the fasting insulin test can catch problems years before it shows up on a regular glucose test. Of course, secondary to this, you might want to consider wearing a CGM for a couple of weeks, like my husband and I. Since 2024, CGMs have been available over the counter, so no prescription is needed. Sensors are around $50 and usually last about 2 weeks. I'll link a couple of options below. Unless you have other health issues, you probably won't need to wear a CGM forever. Just think of it as a 2-week data gathering experience. You could try it a couple of times annually or once quarterly, depending on your levels and your goals. If you're noticing persistently high numbers though, you'll definitely need to get a healthcare provider on board to support you. If your glucose levels are generally in the target range, you can analyze things like, what happens when I eat more protein or fat with breakfast? Does a 20-minute walk after dinner help decrease my sugar faster? Or are 30 squats more effective? How does a poor night of sleep affect my glucose levels the next day? Does controlling my temper make my blood sugar increase? Get the data, get the answers, change your life. You're welcome. 1 Corinthians 9 reminds us that disciplined athletes train for a prize that fades. But we're running for our prize, our crown, our reward in heaven that will last forever. So we run with purpose, not aimlessly. Learning how your own body responds to food is wisdom. Understanding how to modify your meal choices is good stewardship with intention. Doing these things will help you become the best version of yourself for the people you are called to serve. Honor God with your body and fulfill your purpose. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the next video because I promise you're probably going to pick up another strategy that no one else taught you. God bless. See you later. Bye.